Hey, we're on. Call to order a special meeting of the City Council of the City of Hayden, Idaho. Today is Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. It's approximately 3:02 p.m. May we get a roll call of council members, please?
Council President Roeder?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
Yes.
Councilmember DePriest?
Yes.
And Councilmember Schaefer?
Yes.
Okay, the purpose of our meeting, special meeting today is to jump into some unfinished business, which is fiscal year 2026 budget planning. I want to ask council, please, to keep our deliberations focused, not on contracts and other things, but just simply on budget itself. And with that, Lisa?
All right. I'm going to try to create a little bit of structure around the purpose of today's meeting so that we are moving and trying to get, I guess, closer to the finish line. So I provided this loose agenda, and I mean, it's just loose. It's really just to kind of build towards the finality of trying to get what we need done, which is the appropriation ordinance. So we'll do a presentation by council members. We have 2 council members that presented amendments or considerations for council to hear today. You've received that ahead of this meeting, so you'll get a chance to then hear from the individual council members about their pitch. The next step would be to discuss and vote on any of those adjustments. We're asking for motions on those so that we can document for the record what the direction is to staff. And then at the very end of this, if we got here today, it'd be ideal, but recognize that we may not get there. We might not get to the full discussion and full vote, but the ultimate decision of approving the table that goes in the appropriation ordinance. This is the tool or the requirement under Idaho code for us to essentially be able to pay our bills and for you guys to complete the budget process is to adopt an appropriation ordinance. I gave you the template that we filled out. We've left, you'll see where it says insert table. I'm going to show you a little bit of how we're building towards this in a moment. But the agenda, again, being loose, it doesn't have to follow this precisely. It's just my way of building towards the finality. What staff involvement today? We're really support. We're here to provide information and support with the data and numbers. To that end, you'll see in a moment here when I close this PowerPoint down, you'll see that we'll have the draft L2 form from the county. That's the form that we use to set our levy rate. You'll see the publication summary that's been handed to you all. It's the report back from the paper showing that what was approved and went in the paper, and that did publish today. So you can also see the paper today. The draft appropriation ordinance, that's also been prepared. I've given you a copy of that. And then other information if available. I have staff, some key members of staff here today to be available should there be scenario-based discussions that you'd like to consider. Again, we're trying to make sure we have available to all of you as much information as possible, given the conversation and where it goes. So as we talk about some things that I know will be coming up today, I want to just set, I guess, some information out there for the public's benefit as well as council. This is a reintroduction to something we've already discussed previously. The 3% property tax, which will come up today, that total right now, if we took it, is $78,774. The new construction, which has been a little bit of a what do you want to call it, evolving number, has gone up as high as 95,000, and then after some review by the state was dropped down to around 62,000, or between 62 and 64,000. That's really, that number variation of $2,000-ish is really dependent upon the property tax percentage base level increase that we take. So if we take 0, that amount is spread out over more. It drops the new construction amount down by about $2,000. So we are here to answer any questions around that, but just know, depending on where we land relative to the L2 form on the 3% versus 0 to 3% will affect new construction ranges as well. On the expenses side, the 3% cost of living adjustment that is planned for the staff is around $80,000 out of the general fund. Red line adjustments, so these are the adjustments of individuals when we move the goalposts of where we're trying to hit for or, minimum, mid, and the higher end of that, we have a handful of employees that fall below the minimum. So with that 3% adjustment and the adjustment in the rates, they're actually not catching up, they're falling behind. So we adjust for those. There's a handful of employees that fall in that realm. So those adjustments increase that to about 32,000.
Lisa,
Yes.
I may have forgotten what are red line adjustments.
She just.
She just explained.
I'm sorry, I apologize because I was doing some
Those are
math.
people that fall out once the
So
COLA's
what
made,
we-
they fall out of the pay.
Okay, sorry, I apologize.
Okay.
I'm adding up numbers.
It's fine. The medical increases right now, after we receive back from AAIA, are roughly $45,000. The ICRIMP, so this is our liability insurance, is about 12,000 increase. And partially that's because we've taken on new property, right? We've got the new facility out there at, on Ramsey. And then our prosecution and our civil increases are right around that 5 to 20,000, depending on which area we're looking at. So I consider the non-discretionary spending, so that spending that we don't have discretion over whether or not we pay it, being the medical, liability, prosecution, and civil. We're under contract essentially to perform those. That equals about $82,000 increase. So where do we have discretion? We have discretion within the cost of living adjustments. We have increases at on the medical side of things as to what the employees' contributions are, or how that adjustment spread apart over the base of employees. So while it's $45,000, that increase is happening. It's just how now it's spread apart. It'll be a consideration that might happen at this meeting. So when we, again, add those remaining, the COLA in and the red line adjustments, that's another 112,000 in there, so. And again, this is all within general fund, just want to be clear, because my understanding is today's focus is really about the general fund when we talk about rate, the 3% increase and any other contracted services that we might be taking on next year. Oops. I had our finance director give us some projections. I believe you have a copy of the numbers that support this graph. You'll see the red graph there showing the 1% increase. So if council were to take a 1% increase and we projected that over 5 years, how would that 1% look or grow our, base property tax over the course of that 5 years? And then obviously you can kind of go from there from 2% to 3%. And then the aqua or blue color, cyan colored graph shows if you took 0% this year and then went back up to 3%, not including any foregone if you chose to do that, where that would fall relative to 3%. And again, you have the numbers in front of you that will help provide the actual numbers and the projection rates that this graph is built from. I'm going to exit the PowerPoint presentation really quick and just show you a couple things that I want to bring up. So these are the numbers, as I mentioned. You should have a printout of that. We have the L2 form here, so we can get in and make adjustments and show what those adjustments would look like relative to the outputs on additional revenue to the general fund. So we can do some scenario-based conversations around that. You'll see it live as well as the public. And then on this sheet here, this is a sheet that I've used to build the budget and build all the way through the appropriation ordinance from I'll just show the general fund. Actually, we could view this a little bit. I guess maybe I could adjust this down. If we just look at revenues and we were able to go in and change a revenue, let's just say we change this to $5,000, it will automatically appropriate or populate that number up into this table. This is the table that we will use in the appropriation ordinance. And what this does is it helps us maintain a non-typographical error as we move into that. The last thing you'd want to do is put the wrong number in somewhere. So you'll see that this appropriation right now should be fairly reflective of what was in the publication that just published in the paper today. So the hope is with all of this information available for us to be iterative throughout the process of discussions, to talk about scenario-based options, that the staff that's here, including myself, will be able to be supportive to the council. And again, the end goal of today, if I go back to our sort of loose agenda here, is that we ideally get to the approval of the appropriation table so that we can bring that forward to council. We have to have that done, obviously, before fiscal year 1 to allow us to pay any kind of bills, as well as meet our obligations on our debt services. But it also needs to be done in enough time that it gets to the county to meet their requirements for the assessment on the property tax side of things. And so with that, what I want to do is turn the meeting over to our council members who presented adjustments to the budget and give you the floor. So I was going to start with Councilmember White. And I will really quickly bring up your proposal here. If you can give me just a second.
Should I go up there to present?
You're welcome to do that if you want the screen here, or you can.
Oh, I can present from here. This is fine.
You also should have a copy of this at your seat.
Okay.
Come on.
She's changed it from what you have there.
I'm only presiding what was already given to me, so from there she can go.
Okay.
So with that, Councilmember Roy.
Okay, so actually, I did not change it. I just added a few more columns to add past numbers for another, but I didn't change my proposal.
I don't know what's new, so let's see if we can get rid of that.
Lisa, can you do a control plus to pull that up a little bit, please? Thank you.
You wanted that or bigger? Is that good?
Well, that was council field. That's better. That's best.
All right, I'm gonna sit down unless you want me to.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll need to move it up a little bit halfway through.
I'll stay up here then.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank you guys for coming. You're coming to a budget talk. I mean, that's not the most exciting thing in the world, but I'm glad you're here. So my proposal is just a summary of it, is I'm proposing that even a small budget reduction reflects a fiscally conservative approach that prioritizes essential needs and avoids unnecessary spending. So instead of the full 3% raise that has been already passed, that equals about $78,000, I propose a 2% raise. So that requires about $26,000 in targeted cuts. And the benefits of this approach are, it demonstrates to you guys that we recognize today's economic challenges. This proposal is trimming some extras, but it's not putting our sheriff contract at risk in any way. This proposal is not taking away from other essential services, and this proposal is not touching salaries in any way, or insurance, or any of those necessary things. So I'm proposing that we put a pause on the city newsletter that is in the budget for $11,000 a year. First of all, the budget, you can go ahead and move that up a little bit. Lisa, thank you. So the budget, the newsletter, it isn't required by our city ordinances or resolutions. The city website and social media serve as effective communication tools. We can skip 1 year to assess the impact of this on the budget. And it's just more environmentally friendly as it reduces paper waste. And the added bonus is that it reduces workload on an already busy staff. I mean, we hear all the time, our staff is overworked. And then I propose in the travel, meetings, and training section, that budget line, that we reduce it by half. Right now, $10,500 is budgeted, and I'm proposing cutting it in half to $50,000. Some of us don't travel for meetings, and this makes, so it makes 50% reduction reasonable. In the past years, we've only used a small portion of that. Then I'm proposing that we reduce the Arts Commission to 2,500 by 2,500, and we leave it at 1,500 rather than raising it to 5,000. Other commissions operate with a lot less funding. And in addition to this funding, the Arts Commission is having a raffle and they're raising money, so they will have more money in the next few months. And then the theater stipend there for $2,000. In the past, they've only used $100 of that. So it's an unused amount, and that theater opportunity has passed. So it's just a budgeted item, but it's not specific to the summer theater. So I propose we just remove that. And then I propose we reduce professional services that from the proposed $60,000 in the budget, which was a large increase from the previous $1,200, and just reduce it by about $5,250. So I'm just saying that these targeted reductions save the $26,000, and that's equal to 0.0006 of the proposed budget, allowing for a 2% raise instead of the 3%, without cutting essential services, affecting payroll, or negatively impacting the sheriff contract. And this approach also eases staff workload. So I was looking at the new numbers, Lisa, and it looks like I had a different total budget number in my assessment up here of $43,186,000. It looks like your number was $43,372,120.
That was published.
That was published. Okay, so we would need to
Adjust.
adjust it and take out another $258, which could also come out of professional services. Okay, that's my proposal.
Did you need me to, sorry, I didn't keep going down. Labor vacancy.
All right, council, please jump in.
Oh, we're allowed to ask questions?
Well,
You guys can choose the format. That's the loose agenda. You could either hear both the presentations and then ask questions, or ask questions after. It's really, I think, your choice.
yeah, what would you prefer? I'm just trying to keep the ball
I'd
rolling.
rather do it right after the presentation because it's
Fresher.
more fresh.
Okay. I'm sorry if you had a different rhythm, Lisa.
No, I called it a loose agenda for a reason.
Fair enough.
No, I have-
All right, let's go first.
I have a question, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry that I don't know the answer to this, but why was there such a large increase in professional services between the 2 years?
Yeah, that was in order to help us hire a consultant to do some strategic planning, as well as potentially having to offset some of the costs associated with our transportation planning potentially. So if we had to not be able to fund all of that out of impact fees.
So basically to hire third-party contractors to
Right.
do some studies for us to support infrastructure type of
Correct.
planning?
Yes, it's sort of thinking about what's ahead and trying to bite off some of that iteratively rather than having a $250,000 need one year and then a zero the next. So we're, like I said, there's some opportunity to have impact fees pay for some of that or contribute, but they can't necessarily do all of it, so.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Matt or Ed?
Oh, I have a few. I want to hear from Sandy, could she explain to me what professional services that she thinks should be cut specifically?
Well, Lisa just explained that this $60,000 is a fund for professional services, but it's way above the amount that was previously reported. It was $1,200 last year, and now it's 60. So I'm not targeting a specific professional service. I'm just saying lower that amount a little bit because it is kind of a slush fund.
So what if we need more money in professional services because we need a consultant, which does happen? What are we going to do?
Right. There are other places that, that can be reduced by this small amount. There's, in addition to professional services, there was different funds that had higher amounts that, yeah, I just think that 60,000 isn't an exact number, like we have to have 60,000 in that. It was a rounded big number.
So is it prudent to have more money in there just in case we need it? Or are you saying we should just cut it and then we got to figure out how to pay for it if it goes over?
Well, I say budget cuts have to happen in little ways in different places. And this is one convenient way to cut that amount of money.
Okay, and you also said that by not taking, should we be putting, can you explain putting the sheriff contract at risk? You put that
Right.
on that. I don't understand that.
Okay.
How would the sheriff contract be at risk?
Okay, right now we have a certain amount of money in the budget for the sheriff's contract, plus the other monies that are being proposed by Councilmember Priest to be cut, the $200,000 in dividends. And I'm just saying, we're not going to touch those. And we're not going to reduce what we have for the sheriff down to only a 4% raise. We're going to have that money available for the contract negotiations.
So how does it put it at risk? I don't understand.
If we were to make drastic cuts to the sheriff, to any monies that we have towards the sheriff, then that would put the sheriff contract and the negotiations at risk.
At risk
In my
meaning what? At risk meaning specifically, how does that put it at risk?
If we were to have to cut the amount of money we have to offer the sheriff or to complete that contract, then the county might need to cut our services.
So is that what the sheriff has said? He'll cut our services if we don't pay him what he wants?
This is what I'm proposing. And
But I'm trying to understand because we are going to be in negotiations because we have not finalized a contract with the sheriff. Like,
Right.
for example, part of that contract proposal by the county and the sheriff has been that we should have a lieutenant. Do you support that?
I'm not putting that and the contract negotiations into this proposal right now. I'm just not touching or reducing any money that we have to offer the sheriff.
Okay. So then also, I know that many times you've been a champion for transparency. You wanted more meetings recorded. You want more information put out there. How is it more transparent that we don't notify all the citizens in Hayden with a newsletter?
Yeah, not every city has a newsletter, and we have social media. We have a lot of other ways to reach people.
So do you think that's a reduction in transparency by not having a newsletter?
No, I don't. I don't.
So it's not important, because there's some important things about road closures, like that we've had, and other tax increases and so forth. You're saying that we'll just eliminate that, which we have done for as long as I've been here. And that's more transparent by eliminating the newsletter.
Well, as far as road closures go, a newsletter goes out once, maybe twice a year, and that information about road closures is late. It's better to have our social media working for us and to have our website working for us as far as road closures.
That's not my question. Is it more transparent not to have a newsletter to the citizens of Hayden?
All the information in the newsletter is available on the website. So I don't believe it hinders
So
transparency.
you're not going to answer my question. Well, is it more transparent or not? That's what I'm asking. If you eliminate a source of information to go out by the city, is that being more transparent?
All of the information in the newsletter is also available on the website. So people
May I
can
couch
find
it a
it.
different way?
Matt, I think the question's
May I
answered.
couch it a different way?
Let's roll it.
No, it's not really different. There are many people in the community who are not as internet literate, for lack of a better term. They don't use internet. It's something that they have not grown up with, and they're not as adept at using it. And they depend on newsletter and things like that that come to their house. I guess tagging along with Matt, how does that fit in with those people who don't use the internet to go onto the website and stuff like that?
Right. Well, the newsletter is not consistent. It's gone out once a year, and sometimes it goes out twice a year, so it's not consistent. And people can come here. We have calendars of the different recreational events and things available over at Parks and Rec. And we have our webpage.
How many times a year does this newsletter come out? Twice a year. And you're saying people, if they don't use the internet, they should drive down here and look at the window and stuff like that, basically.
Well, there's all kinds of different ways to get information. And one newsletter a year, 2 newsletters a year isn't consistent and updated information. So at least looking on the website, you have consistent information.
If you look on the website, that's fine. That's,
Okay, thank you.
So I have another question.
Yes.
About, you want to reduce the funding for, it doesn't say it up there, but, or maybe it does in a smaller print, but I have a hard time reading with my age. The travel, meeting, and training, you want to reduce that amount of money that is used for the council. Is that what you're, okay.
Yeah.
So would you agree that that money is spent to educate the council?
Yeah, I agree to that, but not all of us go. And so not all of us need that money. And in the past few years, we've only used a small portion of it. We've used under $1,000 each year for the past few years.
So, but you do think, would you agree that that money is important to keep us informed? Because like, for example, you didn't go to the AIC meeting this summer, is that true?
That's true.
And that's where a lot of we get updates on all the new legislative changes for the city, that affects the city. Don't you think that's important that you should have been there?
It sounds like you're jumping.
Hey, guys,
Well, no, we're talking about,
It sounds like you're
hey,
jumping.
this is not a
I'm
meeting with,
asking her-
hold on, everybody. This is not a meeting with the public.
Okay.
So I know it's hard. I do. I understand.
but that's for educational money, and don't you think it's important to use that money to be educated about how we, because it's very important we know how we do our job as city council members or mayors that go to these meetings, and to know what's new, say, affecting urban renewal or the aquifer or legal issues. That's what that's about. And I believe that we need to keep that money available so that we can be educated to do the best job possible.
Right, and I didn't cut it very much. I only cut it, I cut a portion of it. There's still enough for you to go to all of the conferences you want to go to.
Well, not just me. I hope that the other council members would want to also be up to date and informed on what's happening to cities throughout Idaho.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all I have right now.
Okay. Ed, anything to add, Tom? I have a question for staff, for Lisa or Jennifer. Each of these proposals has some assumptions in it based on council's working knowledge of the budget. Is there anything up there that is not accurate? For example, if a fund, and I'm not saying this is the way it is, if a fund is funded through donations and it's proposed to be removed, then obviously it doesn't work like that. In other words, because taxes didn't pay for it, we don't remove it out of the budget because they're donations. are there any,
Yeah, the assumptions are accurate. Those are not funded through property taxes necessarily. They're funded through donations or revenue earned by those. So in Idaho, we're required to have a balanced budget. So whatever you bring in, you have to show an expense to it. So with that, we guess what we're going to get for revenue on events, and we guess what we're going to get for expenses in their needs departments. So I can go ahead on the record and say that it's not my opinion that either of those would be funded through property taxes.
Mayor, I have one more thought that,
hold on, Matt, real quick. So just to be clear, of the amount being proposed to be reduced, that money is not coming from property tax.
It would be coming from revenue received or estimated revenue received from either donations or money earned at events.
Is
Okay.
that the same for Parks and Recreation and Public Safety Commission? And the Historic Preservation and Veterans Commission? They're all in the same
Yeah.
line item there.
That would likely be accurate. There are some expenses that we do include in our operation expenses that are in order for them to conduct their meetings. So, and those likely are also either specifically to arts. I want to be careful. Specifically to arts, that revenue was anticipated to come in from revenue earned. The other ones might not have some revenue earned, but like, for example, Veterans does have another sponsorship opportunity within them to donate towards their expenses. Sorry, I'm tickle in my throat. Yeah, I don't know if that answers that question. Thank you.
Okay. I just saw that it was listed under appropriations, and
Yeah.
it looks like it is a budget line item.
But the assumption from that is that the money coming in is directly from property taxes, and it's not usually the case. We likely have revenue sources for those specific commissions that generate their need for expenses.
So it's not reducing an expense that's coming from the 2% to 3% increase.
Right.
Council, everyone understands that point? And it'd be the same for Ed's proposal. We just want to make sure that all the assumptions on there are accurate, i.e. that if we're going to reduce property tax, we need to target things that are paid for by property tax and not other revenue sources.
can I,
Go ahead, Matt.
yeah, I just want to make sure, Sandy, I understand you clearly on where you're coming from. I mean, it's clear you want to take a 2% tax increase, and you want to make sure that you get a tax increase so that the sheriff could be paid his full amount and not a reduced amount, which would put the contract in risk.
The 2% increase is not in proportion to the sheriff contract. I'm talking about the budget overall.
Okay, so if you didn't have a 2% increase, or we had enough money, say, through interest to pay the sheriff, was that okay? In other words, don't
We
take a
have-
tax increase, and we had a proposal of $200,000 of interest. And by the way, we've kind of gotten a windfall on our investments because as our, the amount of interest that we gained over the last, compared to 2 years ago, it was like 0.01, 0.1% we were making on our money at the state fund. Now we're making about 5%. So we're making a whole bunch more in interest. And so I guess, is that where you're coming from then? It's not really a tax increase, but you want to use the interest income to pay the sheriff?
That's a negotiating tool that we have available to us.
But that's an option. Okay, that's fine.
Okay, let's roll on to Ed's proposal.
Okay, yeah. Mine is directly related to the sheriff because what happens this budget cycle related to the significant, I don't mean to say massive increase that the county has told us sitting right here in this room that they're going to demand of the city in the next 3 to 5 years is going to be affected by what we do here this year with the budget for them. Commissioner Matari sat right here a couple weeks ago and said, we demand that the city budgets 30 to 35% of their budget for law enforcement, like the other surrounding cities. Well, these other surrounding cities already have police departments of their own, and that's probably why their budget is significantly higher. On July 30th, the Cooney County Board of Commissioners had a meeting, and you can watch it on the tape, and at the 15-minute mark, Commissioner Matari referred to that getting Hayden up to there is, and he said he is going to work vigorously to get Hayden to where we need them to be. So the county has told us that in the next 3 to 5 years, they want the city of Hayden to be budgeting $3, $4, $5 million a year for law enforcement. And during this meeting, they have indicated that, Mr. Eberline said it's pay to play. And they on multiple occasions have said that they want full reimbursement for all of their calculated costs, which takes it up to this $3, $4, $5 million point in the next 3 to 4 to 5 years. So that's where my budget is directed, and why, because what we do here is setting it. So if you look up there, the current year contract is $954,000. Proposal was to raise it up to 1.295 and to purchase a vehicle for $95,000, basically taking the offer to 1.39 million from the current 1.14, okay, which is a 35.7% increase in this year alone, okay. The proposed general fund line was $9,436,207 with that amount in there. I'm just going to go through this. I propose giving the sheriff a 4% inflationary increase to last year's salary, which would equal $992,160. I propose not purchasing the vehicle, which would reduce the general fund line down to $9,038,367. Part of the proposal was that we do, and Matt alluded to it, to use $200,000 of the interest from the city's investment with the taxpayer money to pay the sheriff this year, okay? And in lieu of taking any tax increase this year, I propose on a one-time basis only, because we have been successful with prudent, conservative, fiscally responsible investment that has realized significant interest returns, and to use the approximate 3% of $78,000 from the interest instead of giving the county $200,000. And if you watch their meetings, they'll say, well, what about our raises and our COLAs? And you know what the response is? Well, we have to wait to see what Hayden's going to pay us. So they're waiting to see if we're going to give them a bunch of money so that they can give raises and COLAs to their employees. Okay? I'm sorry, but the citizens of Hayden is not the bank for the county, in my opinion. Okay? Using only 78 from interest instead of giving 200,000 will benefit Hayden city and staff. It will allow us to take advantage of realization of the revenue from the investments. We'll give the taxpayer a one-year break from a tax increase, also allowing the taxpayers to share in the realization of significant interest revenue. The difference between the 26 proposed salary of 1.295 and my proposed salary of $992 is $302,000. Take the vehicle, and it's a total of $397,840. The savings of $397,840, in my opinion, is a worthwhile trade-off for not taking the approximate 78,000 3% increase while giving the taxpayer a break and a year this year and allowing a judicious, thorough evaluation without rushing of where the city wants to go related to future law enforcement. So with that as a basis, okay, whichever direction the city goes in relation to law enforcement, whether we stay with the sheriff, whether we form our own police department, whatever we do, it's obvious that the people are eventually again going to have to vote to approve a significant increase in the base tax in order to fund whatever the future law enforcement is. This is not a decision or process to be rushed into. what the county has told us, what they're demanding this year alone, and what the county has told us it's going to be, is going to be far more than the 3%. So we're going to have to go back to the people, as we did a few years ago, and say, here it is, folks, the county wants $3 million this year. Okay, so do you want to pay for that $3 million or not? Or in a couple of years, the county wants $4 million. Do you want to pay that or not? Okay, it's not something that we're going to be able to decide up here because it's far more than the 3%, so the people are going to have to vote on it anyway. The county and the sheriff, primarily through Commissioner Matari, have told the city that they expect the city to budget what our neighboring cities budget, approximately 30 to 35%. I've already talked about this, take it up to 3 to 4 million in the next 3 to 4 years, 5 years. In the county budget meeting, I already talked about that. Matari it's pay to play, and we want 100% reimbursement for total costs in the future. Basically, the repeated comments of Matari and Eberline indicate that they want the city to pay all costs associated with law enforcement in the city, but for the city to have zero control on how those dollars are used, zero say in the day-to-day staffing, administration, priorities, cost allocations, et cetera. They want the city to pay for them to control the use of that funding. They want the sheriff department to basically be the de facto Hayden Police Department, and for Sheriff Norris to basically be the de facto Hayden Police Chief. There's a reason that Coeur d'Alene, Post Falls, Rathdrum, Spirit Lake, Sandpoint, Pend Oreille, Bonners Ferries have a separate police department and have a county sheriff as backup, not primary law enforcement. Ask her, what's the reason all these cities have their own PDs? Okay, this is not something the council will be able to, nor should they, do without people voter approval. As I stated in the special meeting, after watching multiple commissioner budget meetings, I feel the comments made. Yeah, I know, I'm trying to, yeah, okay. To put it frankly, I don't like the way the situation's played out since the sheriff presented the options and costs that the city in good faith took to the people for a vote, which then, according to the Board of Commissioners, were about half of the actual costs. In all honesty, I've lost trust in the sheriff for this and other recent events, as well as not trusting the motivations of Commissioner Matari, Sheriff Norris's campaign manager. I think both are politically driven and see the city as a vehicle to enhance their political motivations and goals. I propose requiring the county to provide what they consider to be the actual cost projections for 10 deputies with annual increments for the next 5 years. I also propose the county sheriff to present a verifiable data-driven method to prove to the city that the city is getting what the city is being asked to pay. When the county provides the above information to the city, I propose that we again put the question to the voters on the first available ballot. Let the people tell the city if they're willing to pay those costs for law enforcement that the county is demanding. Hayden's crime numbers are basically flat and have been for years. Putting off the lieutenant and the increased pay demand for a year is not going to spur a crime rate. In fact, just today, I think it was, or yesterday afternoon on KHQ, they said that Idaho has the lowest property crime rate in the country. Okay? If the county and sheriff want to, as they have intimated, reduce the number of deputies, yet keep the $543,000 that the people voted to fund the increase, based on what the sheriff presented, then that's on them, and they can explain, spin it any way they want. So my budget proposal basically is such that we, and it is directly related to the sheriff's contract because it's the massive increase that's coming at us and the people. And I don't want to use the city's money, $200,000, that should go to our projects that are well needed, our employees, our raises, our cost of living, okay, adjustments. I think we need to, we have the opportunity to not take the increase, to fund that 3% out of the $200,000 that we're going to give away, and take a nice, slow, judicious look at which direction we want to go if we're going to be paying $3 to $5 million anyway down the road.
Okay, questions for Ed?
Starting on the port side.
Yes, sir.
Councilman DePriest, before I hit you with an inquisitory question, I just want to acknowledge that I'm impressed by how well you thought this out. And I know where your heart is, and that's City of Hayden. But in the last two budget cycles, and oftentimes during council deliberations, you have made the point that we need to take the 3% every year in order to keep our, what's the term? Our base budget?
Or levy rate,
Our,
or base budget.
Yep.
and those charts were proposed. So as I said last time we discussed this, I'm a little taken aback that now you say 0%. And I'm torn, honestly, because my first year here on council, I kind of proposed something like that as well. Why don't we take less than 3% and pay for it out of reserve fund? And I was convinced, rationally so, that we need to get our arms around what the size of the reserve fund was, and that we need to create a reserve fund policy by ordinance before we start doing that.
Not by ordinance, by resolution.
Okay, sorry, by ordinance. So,
By resolution.
by resolution,
Something like that.
sorry. So
I feel it's different.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but do you care to defend your change in tempo here?
Well, again, I'm not going to deny that, number one, it has to do with the sheriff and where I think it's taken us, and the fact that we have an opportunity to slow things down and decide where we really want to go with that. But this question was asked at a meeting, probably the last meeting we had.
I asked the question.
We have the event that in the past, there's really been no alternative. Okay. We talked about reserve fund, but no numbers to discuss. Okay. I think now that we know the numbers that we have in the interest account, and especially when we're talking about giving $200,000 of it away, in my opinion, I think that, well, let me kind of sidestep a little bit, not sidestep, back up a half step. As I said a minute ago, either way this goes, the base tax is going to have to be adjusted again. Okay? And to pay for law enforcement, whatever it may end up being, unfortunately, I believe that base tax is going to have to be significantly raised. So whether we take the 78,000 to our current base, by the time we evaluate where we're going law enforcement wise, what we need infrastructure wise, and in our meeting last night, Sean Taylor said it when we got into that discussion. The reason we're in this situation we're in now is because for 30 years, Hayden has paid a significantly lower tax rate, and it's caught up with us. Okay. And this county demand over the next 3 to 5 years is the trigger. We're going to have to go to the people and come up with a calculated, hopefully rational, reasonable, through a judicious process number to adjust our tax base to. And so whether we take the 78 this year, I think down the road, it's going to be calculated into that new adjusted tax base rate.
Pay me now or pay me later, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other questions?
Yeah, the other question, this is more addressed to just actually the mayor and Lisa, since you negotiated the latest version of the contract, and it gets back to one of the points I made. As early as last year, I asked about the viability of using this reserve fund, and I was told, patience, put it aside for now, let us figure out exactly how much we have, and let us build a policy before we start dipping into that piggy bank. And now you come forward and say, let's grab 200,000 out of it.
No, that's not what I said. I'm projecting a future interest rate earned. So
Okay, but what, if we didn't use that interest, where would it have gone?
into the fund balance.
Okay,
But I want to make sure you know that I'm not trying to dip into.
now I understand, but for a while, we've sort of said and agreed to
Yes.
that this was an untouchable. We would not use it until we figured out what exactly our priorities were.
It's not a recommended step that staff wants to do. It was just an option to consider.
Okay,
It's a risk. I
Okay.
didn't want to have to say, let's do that, because since I've been here, not having seen fund balance since I started here because of our situation within.
And I
our books,
recognize that, and
has caused me to take a very proactive look at making sure that our expenses and our expenses don't exceed our revenues every year, month by month, year by year. We've been very diligent, and we do dip down, every city does, into your reserves during the times in between when property taxes and the state revenue sharing isn't happening. So we do have some ups and downs in that. So you want to make sure that your reserve is big enough to cover those dips. And so not having fund balance, the only thing I could do as your city administrator is to be very diligent about making sure your expenses and revenues didn't exceed themselves. So do I think we'll dip into our reserve next year by dipping into our future interest at $200,000? We've been doing fairly well the last few years. We're probably going to be okay. We probably will make that, but we can't be guaranteed that. And it's not a long-term solution. It's
Right.
not even one I want to give you as an option. But if when asked to come forward with something that may work, it's risky, yeah. Do I
Yeah.
like it? No.
And just for the general public who's listening or watching, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the amount we have in the reserve budget, and I don't know the exact number because I don't think even, we're still trying to get caught up, but it's enough to cover city general operating expenses for what, about
1 year.
1 year? But then also, we have our eyeballs on that to pay for some of our much-needed infrastructure improvements in
And
the city.
Yep, that is accurate. Based on the 23 audit numbers that were presented to you, it's approximately, or it might be slightly less than that, just because our expenses, operating expenses grow significantly each year as we run into cost increases across all of our sectors, and, labor as well as contracted services, and a lot of our O&M on our streets is done by contract. So, those are things that we think we're going to need. We're going to put more in it, but we might get more money in that, but be able to do less just because of cost increases that we bid that project. We didn't know at the time. I did want council to know that I did present to the finance director the week before I left, the draft financial policy talking about specifically reserve minimums that we should be targeting. And we're working through that. I've decided to put kind of on the back burner for now our investment policy. We have one currently. It's just whether or not we want to touch that. We might leave that as a reserve area within the policy and get that to you guys sooner rather than later.
That's fine. I have other things to say, but I'll wait for deliberations.
Okay. Matt or Sandy, any questions for Ed?
Go ahead.
No, go on, you first.
Okay. So, first of all, Ed, you were a key player in the planning and the passing of the sheriff levy that happened a couple years ago that raised our base budget rate 29%. And while I was advocating for slowing it down, let's stop and look at it better because the numbers were presented to us so last minute. So we weren't able to take a better look at it before going on to the voters. But now, are you saying that we need to raise the levy again in the future?
Well, first of all, I think we need to go back and look at the record because you weren't saying slow it down. You thought it was too much. Okay, you weren't saying slow it down. We need to study it more. You were saying you thought it was too much and you didn't want to go that high. But what I'm saying is it's obvious. It's not my decision. It's not going to be my decision. Okay, it's a statutory decision that if the county is going to demand what they are demanding and have told us they're going to demand, we will have no other choice but to. We continually ask for, you say, well, cut this and cut that. Where are we going to cut $2 million? Are we going to strip already skeletonized public works? Are we going to stop plowing streets and repairing streets? Or do you want to get rid of Park and Rec, which is an integral part of this community that brings people together, families together? Where are you going to cut that is going to prevent us from having to go to the people for this massive amount of money that the county is demanding.
Well, then, before we go on, I would remind council, please, we're here to discuss the budget. We're not here to discuss what somebody voted for 2 years ago or what their thoughts are on, we're getting this way off the budget and focus on law enforcement. And well, Ed is proposing to cut the budget as it relates to law enforcement. We've spent a lot of time talking about our feelings about the law enforcement. We're supposed to be focused on getting a budget adjustment or at least discussing a budget adjustment, please.
Right, I'm trying to make a point, though, that when we had the levy, Ed was,
Right, but we're not here to talk about the levy.
right. But so in increasing our base budget rate by 29%, why suddenly now take away the whole 3%? I don't
I think,
see a balance in that.
yep, Tom asked that question, and I think Ed answered that question.
Yeah, exactly. Councilmember Schaefer asked me almost that exact same question.
Okay, so have we done a study yet on the cost of starting up our own police department?
I think there's been initial do you want to go there?
No, because this is not what we're here to talk about. You guys are pushing way off course here. Let's please stick to what's being proposed and how it affects the budget. This is not a discussion about law enforcement or our own police department or how much we dislike or like the sheriff.
I'm just wondering, is it prudent to reduce our sheriff's services right now
That's what Ed's proposing. So if
before
you-
we know what the actual costs will be? So, and I'd like to correct Ed's statement. I was given the information about the levy very last minute, and I wasn't proposing less. I was saying, let's stop and look at it more.
We all got the information at the same time.
No, we didn't. You were in the committee.
We had
So you were
council
following
meetings
it
and
all
we got
along.
the same information and reports
The
at the same
minutes were
time.
not given to us until later, and so I only got it the day we had to vote on it.
Okay, next questions?
True.
And I was going to ask, you talked about $3 million. Where does that number?
What number?
$3 million
Well, if you,
increase.
again, we're going to what the sheriff told us, or what Commissioner Matari told us, and has reiterated over and over in his meetings. They want the city of Hayden to budget what the surrounding communities are budgeting 30 to 35% of their budget, okay? And from the county's number, from the documents that they gave us relating to the various cities and what they are spending on it, that's where that amount comes from. It's a county document. She gave it to all of us. The Jennifer Locke, through her finance director, Brandy Falcon, okay? She compared Coeur d'Alene, Post Falls, Rathdrum, and Hayden, and our spending in several there, cost per 100,000, amount put into the justice fund, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's where that number comes from.
Okay, one more question. Is there a cost of living increase in our budget as presented right now? There is?
I believe if we take the 3%, there is, yes.
Okay,
The 78,000, yeah.
Is that it?
for now, thank you.
No, just for discussion later. I don't have any specific questions for Ed, other than there's a lot of things that I agree with Ed's proposal. And it has to do with, and this goes back in a little bit of time, but Sheriff Norris wanted us to have 26 deputies in Hayden. I was given a document that said in 5 years, he wanted us to have 26 deputies. Well, 26 deputies was about half of his sheriff department and deputies. And so I just bring that up because this is part of the pressure that is being put on the city of Hayden to get more money out of us, and which then in turn puts more pressure on us. And according to Sandy, we're at risk if we question what the sheriff wants. And I think there's some point in time where we have to say, hey, that's enough. We got to slow this thing down. And I'll go into more on that in discussions, but I just want to basically say I do agree with Ed's proposal.
Okay. Lisa, I know you said the agenda is loose, so is staff going to address, because I have questions and I'm purposely staying quiet until the end, I guess, if I don't hear
I
my,
go back to the loose agenda
yeah.
and just kind of pick up where we're at right now.
You even titled it loose agenda.
We've got through the introductions, which was my presentation. We got through the presentation by council members. We're kind of in that next step, which is discussion and vote on adjustments. Identifying what those discussion and vote on is what I was hoping to sort of decipher from you guys and build towards that. And then we would go in and add those decision points in to show you what that appropriation ordinance table would look like. I don't know if in this discussion on the will result in a number of scenario-based conversations, so staff's here and available to us. This is where it gets kind of at your discretion and as a body, what you want to see, what answers you want, what support we need to provide to you in order to get you some clarity around something. So numbers.
Or potentially, Lisa, some mini votes, because no single council member can unilaterally direct an adjustment. So some miniature votes on proposed changes can also move you in the direction of getting it finalized.
For clarity, Fonda, so in this meeting, a council member would make a motion to say adjust and give us the code and the budget from to.
Yes,
All
correct.
right, so everybody on council understand that?
You can take a vote on it.
Yep, then we can vote on it.
We need to deliberate before we do that, though.
Of course, yeah, I'm just,
Well, you can deliberate, what that does, though, it allows you to deliberate each isolated vote. So you're not trying to deliberate all of this that you've heard in one. For instance, Ed could say, I want to reduce the law enforcement line item expense from X to Y. And then you can have a motion in a second. You discuss just the reduction of that number and you take a vote.
Sounds like a reasonable idea, I suppose.
so
So,
basically,
and I guess in order to get to a place where you're ready for a motion, the question is there anything else you need? That's again why we're here and able to try to answer those questions either with information or numbers or wherever you want to go. So I don't know. Again, we're just here for support and to help, but I don't know where you want to go from here.
So I can make one observation here. First of all, per council's suggestion, if we were to say, discuss just how much money the city was going to spend on law enforcement, that would be an expense discussion. If we were then to talk about something that Councilman White proposed, that would be more of a revenue discussion. And I don't know which way the council wants to go, but it seems to me like hitting on the expenses first is probably the best way to go, because then we'll all understand what the scope is of anticipated savings or not.
Yep, and the nice
That
thing
makes
about
sense.
this presentation that I have here is that we can immediately see what the summary information is relative to changes suggested.
So if I hear you right, Tom, I guess what we're going to discuss two numbers. One is what is going to be our increase, if any increase to our levy rate from 0 to 3%.
But that's a revenue discussion.
Right. And the other part is, what are we going to pay the sheriff? I think we're really coming down to those two numbers. Now, Sandy has options to where she wants to maybe offset, but it still comes down to, are we going to take the 0, 1, 2, or 3% increase?
Now, I'm going to add to that also is, since it's been discussed and brought up as a potential solution, is whether or not this council wants to dip into the reserve fund right now or not.
And staff would strongly suggest that we not do that.
Who?
Staff would.
I'll reserve comment.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Mr. Mayor,
yes.
you want to start us off?
Well, I have questions, but again, I would like,
It's your meeting, Mr. Mayor.
what's that?
It's your meeting.
Well, I mean, does council want to hear my thoughts on this, or would you guys rather feel more comfortable as a four of you figuring this out? And I'm not taking any offense, whatever your answer is.
I'm glad to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys mind if I whiteboard a little bit? Can I have the screen? That's good, Mark. Thanks.
You have 5 minutes.
Oh. He didn't,
Start the problems.
he didn't fill out the little card.
Mayor,
Yes,
for the record.
State your name and-
Can you stand at the podium to speak for the microphone so it picks you up?
I need to draw.
Can you draw and then speak?
We have our crayons and we're just whiteboard.
Because we're live. So.
Okay, so like Tom, my thoughts are based on revenue and expenses.
I'll hold it for you.
Thank you. As has been presented, we're looking at about 79K in potential additional property tax to be asked, right?
3%.
Right. The median home is about 550K, right? We get our county exemption, right, through our taxes. And I think is it about 150,000. The point I'm making is we've been using $1 as a planning figure when we've discussed the budget before. But realistically, on a median home, I want to say it's about 80 cents. That's per percent of property tax. So when council considers whether to take 3%, 2%, 1%, understand that you're impacting a city taxpayer by about 80 cents a month per percent.
Per percent or per?
Per percent, right. No, I'm sorry. Actually, that's for the full 3%. That's the full 3%, isn't it? So I apologize. The point I'm making with that is that when I've talked to council in the past about do we do 3% or not, and I've asked, and I really, with some of you, tried to understand where you're coming from. The answers I get are more emotional. I hear words like, well, it feels good, or it's a break. But my issue is the 80 cents rolls downhill into our budget and it shorts the city 79K. Sorry, Lisa.
I'm doing my best over here.
I heard in this meeting today, we're fiscally conservative. I think that term is perhaps being misused. When I hear, or when I say fiscal conservative, that means that we're taking in just the taxes that we need, and we're not wasting them on social programs or things like that. None of that is happening here. I heard the term today, unnecessary spending. There is no unnecessary spending that I'm aware of in the city. I also heard the word slush fund. And just for the record and for our citizens, the city has no slush fund. That is a poor choice of words. So moving from revenue to expenses, again, this is all we have. So we were just given $82,000 in non-discretionary spending. That one line item alone exceeds 3%. Employee costs have gone up 112K on its own without adding it to the first number. That exceeds 79K. So I don't have a problem if council says, well, we're going to offset that by using potential future interest. I'm just trying to use numbers that this is a black and white thing. And I think what we have is kind of an emotional based decision that's spilling into a more pragmatic solution. And again, as a fellow conservative person, conservative again doesn't mean no taxes. It means using our taxes smartly. Okay, so that's kind of the general. On the specific proposals, so we've hit the arts, and I think that's not a place we can cut the budget. If I understood correctly, that's not coming from property tax. And okay.
I would like a confirmation of that because I've been led to believe all along that it's in
Jennifer?
appropriations.
Or Lisa?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is our revenue comes in, we project our, as revenue into the city, and we project our revenue for different events planned as being their revenue. We base their expenses off of that. So they're anticipating, if I understand right, and I'm looking to anybody who has any more information on this specific line item than I do at the moment, that they were hoping to generate money from their events. I think the polka in the park was one of them, in order to offset some of their expenses or needs or wants. So when we look at that, if the revenue doesn't come in, the expenses don't go out. Is that helpful?
Yeah, but the bottom, and it's okay, because it's not like that's a ton of money, and there's no problem with the idea. It was good for council to take a swing at places to save money. I'm not criticizing that, I'm just simply saying I think that's off the plate right now. Regarding the city newsletter, I guess my question is, did anybody on council talk to staff about the impact of kicking out the newsletter? I know social media exists, but I also know from looking at our statistics that I'll call them the very politically plugged in. They're on social media, but the average Hayden citizen is not. And it's certainly a council's decision which way to go on this, but I guess I'm asking the open question. Did you talk to anybody on staff about cutting the newsletter? Did anybody on council? So we really don't know what the impact is to staff, nor how staff feels about getting the newsletter cut. To basically tell all the Hayden citizens, if you want to know what's going on, you have to go online. That's your decision, but the newsletter to me serves a utility because, again, I don't believe not even 1% of our citizens go to our website or our Facebook page or the 500 other third-party what's going on in Hayden websites. They just don't. If they're online, it's probably to do family stuff, social stuff. So what's
Are
that?
you done here?
I'm done drawing, I think so.
I was just thinking maybe you could
Oh, head
speak
back
to your
up.
microphone so I don't stand.
Thanks. Sorry.
It's okay.
Mr. Mayor, how can easy one to take a vote?
What's that?
The 11,000 for the newsletter is an easy one to take a vote on and get consensus of what your company.
Yeah, that might be if somebody wants
I'll
to.
make that motion right now.
Okay.
Maintain the newsletter at the dollar amount that is shown.
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt. I don't have enough information to vote on this because like the mayor said, has anybody talked to the staff about what impact that actually has?
But we can still make a motion even if you don't have enough information and it can be declined.
Matt, would you be okay to put a pause on that and to ask Abby? Thanks, I'll take this. Or someone from staff to talk to that before you guys make a decision?
I'll pause my motion.
Okay.
I think we need to hit more global, big picture things rather than away at these small items right now.
Okay. Well,
That's just,
yeah, let's use the occasion though, since the ball's in play.
Okay.
Is there someone from staff that would like to speak to the city newsletter? And just for the record, I looked at the budget for the last 3 years. The city has put out 2 newsletters a year, so I'm not sure what year the city put out just 1 newsletter. So, Abby or someone else want to speak to the newsletter?
If council has any questions, I'm happy to answer them about the
you
newsletter.
get any feedback from citizens on the newsletter?
I do, a lot, and a lot that come in and make comments about things, like, I saw this in the newsletter, or little community events or information that we put out. We do get a lot of positive feedback, and the citizens that don't access the internet, I do get a lot of phone calls throughout the day of people where I try to help them find information. That's a lot of what the calls that we get here at City Hall. And so I do try to direct them to the internet first, and a good response, or a good number of those calls, the response is, I don't have access to the internet, or I don't do the internet. So there is value from what I have heard from the public, but again, that's council's decision. There is the city's Facebook page and social media. I don't know
So,
you guys-
Tom, to that, I will add, since being mayor, I've had one person complain that the newsletter is a waste of money. I've had probably a half a dozen citizens give some kind of positive feedback. That's been my feedback.
so objectively saying you would say that the newsletter is an effective tool for communicating to our city?
I would say that I get a lot more responses from the city newsletter than likes or comments on Facebook.
Okay, continue on to Ed's.
I'm going to sit down.
Yeah, to Ed's proposal, and for clarity, neither Lisa nor I wanted to dip into reserve. We were trying to pivot our law enforcement strategy, and the money was basically, in my opinion, a gambit, something we were willing to sacrifice for 1 year and 1 year only to get us on a track that we wanted to be on. As it applies to Ed's proposal, and again, separating income from expenses, if council wants to reduce the line item and the expense associated with law enforcement, it would be my preference that you offset that by not pulling out a reserve and keeping the income where it is for the exact reasons I drew up there, just simply because we literally have triple or more hard costs where, I mean, bottom line is life gets more expensive, inflation happens, we have to do gas, we have to do employees, we have to do insurance, and to say that we're going to yank that 3% out of a savings, it's not my preference, but again, I'll go back to your.
So you're saying if we want to adjust the law enforcement line item, you still want us to take the 3% and not the 78 or whatever from interest?
I just think as somebody who's fiscally conservative, it's pragmatic and responsible to keep up with the cost of things. If we don't, and it's been shown to council numerous times, then eventually you have a big swing. If you don't take a little bit every year to keep up with the cost of things and you defer it.
Can I ask you to respond to, or your opinion of, you know, like I said, whichever direction law enforcement goes here, if we have to stay with the county and do what they demand, we're going to have to ask the people to approve it. And as far as my supposition, the right word, that we're going to have to adjust the base anyway, and that 78 that we're not taking this year would most likely roll into, in some form or another, that adjustment.
That's what I'm talking about. It would increase the amount you would have to ask for later.
Yeah.
That said,
Mr. Mayor?
yes,
For the sake of just making this go easier, I am going to withdraw my proposal.
completely.
Take it off the table, yes.
Well, that's, okay, but there might be some stuff in there like travel, Sandy, that we should trim. And I mean, it's your call, but I think there's some stuff
Okay,
in here
if
that
we can trim
you could.
in some areas, that's good, but
I would ask council to look at everything that Sandy's proposed, even if some of it is either not fully supported or some of it's just not applicable, there might be some good in here. Regarding law enforcement, Ed, there are three what I would consider probabilities that are going to come out of our negotiation. One, we're going to cancel the contract that we have with the county because we can't negotiate something. The second thing that could happen is that we negotiate a good contract for fiscal year 26. And the third thing is that we engage council with discussions to go a different path. And I'm not going to go into details, but different path would be something other than provided by the sheriff.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to withdraw my whole proposal.
Sure.
Yeah, I want to just focus on the big picture.
Okay. So
Thank you.
that's all the questions I had. That's my input, and I'll sit down.
Okay, I'll make a motion if I can to start the discussion probably. Is that proper at this time?
What are we to discuss?
Well, that says I'm going to make a motion for us to discuss the motion. I think that's how it's going to work, right?
He's going to make a motion to adjust the line item expense for the law enforcement
Okay.
Yeah.
services.
All right, good.
And then you'll-
That's all I want to know.
Okay, now, correct me if these numbers are
But
not,
Ed, don't make it convoluted, just say,
no, I'm gonna try and,
okay,
okay, if I'm reading it correctly, the proposed salary was $1,295,000 for the sheriff. Is that the correct number? Salary number?
the contract for services that doesn't include vehicle.
Right.
Contract for services.
Contract for services
It's
is
this amount right here, and I should highlight it.
1,295, it looks like. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to propose that we adjust that number to the 4% inflationary increase and adjust that number to $992,160.
That would be your 4%, right?
That's my 4%.
Okay.
Okay. And I think I should probably include in there, where is the vehicle in there?
It's right here.
95, and that we eliminate that $95,000.
I'll second it.
Okay, so we should have discussion on this motion,
Yes.
because this is a very important part of our budget, and I know that passions run deep on it, so let's have some respectful conversation here, please.
Go ahead. Mind if I start?
Board side goes first.
Okay.
This time.
So first of all, I've been a big booster of the sheriff's department as our law enforcement for as long as I've been here in Hayden and on council. I know that the mayor and Lisa negotiated in good faith with the sheriff and at least one of the members of the board of county commissioners on a number that everybody apparently was happy with.
Not everybody.
It was enough that it looked like we were going to move on, right? And then somebody came along and threw a bomb into it and kind of reset the whole thing and introduced a lot of new data, which I don't think really we've had a chance to vet. And I'm not saying I doubt those numbers, but it was like, okay, it's 11:45 PM. We have 15 minutes to midnight. Decide now. And you don't get a chance to examine those numbers and discuss them. And because of that, I've lost some faith. And I know that the city will have to increase the amount of money that it pays the sheriff. And yes, costs are going up. And in order to attract good people, we have to pay for it. I would like to, and this would be my counter proposal to Councilman DePriest, as earnest as his proposal is, I would like to counter propose that we go back to that original number as a proposed line item for the sheriff's salary.
What do you mean by proposed? Are you talking the 1.295 or?
No,
a different number?
1.144.
1.144?
Yes. And for the reasons I just stated, you know, and I'm leaving out a lot of emotional data points that I could use for this argument,
Okay.
just to stay objective and on point.
So just for council's clarification, we hit the 1.144 to propose personnel changes. So actually, you know, it doesn't matter because this is just budget. Doesn't mean we have to spend it if we don't get the things we want out of it. So I'll leave that for a different
I
day.
get some clarification on that.
Yeah, sure.
I believe the 1.144 is salary plus 2 vehicles. Is that correct?
It was, the number that's reflected up here I'm going to read you this really quick. So it's the 954, sorry,
And then 90 for 2
plus
vehicles.
the 94 of, sorry,
If it helps,
94 vehicle.
Lisa,
So there's the number.
the numbers, as I understood them, was about a 10% bump in the sheriff's salary plus
Yeah, it's about
patrol
between
car.
8 and 10, for sure.
10%'s a lot.
So it's not 1.14, it's 1.04. sorry.
What line is this on the budget?
You'll see it right here.
110, 251, 59,003.
Are you in the book?
That
Yes.
including
So what the mayor
vehicles.
just read.
That includes vehicles, so,
So that's it. No 104 plus 95.
exactly, yes.
104 is total.
That's the salary, and then 95 for
90 more.
total, and
Another vehicle.
another vehicle, yeah. And to reiterate, the reason I'm suggesting that is because the mayor and Lisa did all the heavy lifting on our behalf. And I trust that those were reasonable and good numbers to keep this contract in place at that time.
Lisa, that's close. I pulled up the spreadsheet that we used when we briefed the BOCC, and we had proposed 1.049 mil
49.
for.
Okay, I was off by 5,000.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's very close. I'm just verifying that
I was
you're.
thinking maybe I miscalculated. the
No,
value.
you're there. It was 1.049 mil in labor, and then we had proposed a 95K capital.
To 1035.
And again, these are just budget line items, so they don't necessarily get expended until you approve a contract. And that, again, depends on if the city gets what we want, this is what we're willing to pay. If we don't get what we want, well, then we have a different conversation.
So that would take our total law enforcement to 1.135 salary and vehicle.
1.144.
No, it would
1040
it would
plus
still
95,
have a $95,000 vehicle. So it's
1.135.
It's-
13.
that's the 1.144.
Yeah, I've got it right here on it. It's right here on a table, so it's already been, yeah, thank you,
Where does
Lisa.
the 1.040 number come from?
That's
There is
the
a-
labor expenses.
Oh, yes.
The service contract
Plus a vehicle
plus a vehicle.
of 95.
So this is the numbers right here.
1.040.
This
It's
is
right here.
one.
Well, you have 049. Is it 049 or 040?
049.
The
No,
10 number does not have the vehicle in it.
1.049 plus 95.
There you go.
That vehicle's for a lieutenant, is that correct?
That was the intention.
And if there is no lieutenant, because
Correct.
the amount,
Again, we don't, if we negotiate a contract that doesn't include a vehicle, we wouldn't pay it.
Right. And if we hypothetically got a contract that we weren't satisfied with, i.e. council wants a lieutenant, we didn't get it, then the 1.049 could go down too.
But this is just a line item for law enforcement services expense.
Yes.
Irrespective of the provider.
Right.
That is true. This is just a budget.
That's why it's listed as salaries and benefits over here. We did that. When I came on, that was one of my moves so that we could start to track it out of a contract and into some
Yep.
various areas of, similar to a department that we would here.
And just to reiterate a couple of points of my proposal, which really wasn't mine, it's already been out there, is that this is a 10% increase in salary.
Services.
Services. And then the other thing is, we were being asked to make, in my opinion, a very hasty decision at the last minute. And we need it. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts in this, and we need a year at least, starting at resetting the clock to work through all these details and to be able to, in my opinion, negotiate in good faith with the county.
Tom, you were a fly on the wall when we were talking with the county. That's exactly what we've been trying to say.
so are you saying a total law enforcement expense of 1.144?
Yes.
Total.
That's what
No,
Vehicles
that-
are, it's what,
Look up
which is
there.
basically, I know, which is basically what it currently is, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. It's the same as
Isn't the current
25.
year's contract 1.144?
Yes. 2 vehicles and less labor.
That was for this,
That was for
this current
25.
contract, and for next year, we're basically saying, we're gonna go to 1.144, and that includes, no, the one,
It's right here.
yeah, but that includes the vehicle, 1.049 plus the vehicle.
Yep.
So the total, and why am I seeing 1.2?
Because it also in this department includes the prosecutor's contract as well.
Oh,
So I just am making sure
That's what the 96,000 is?
that's what the 144, this one right here. Let me zoom in.
Are you saying that 1.144 includes prosecutors?
No, I'm
Okay,
saying
okay.
this-
All right, never mind.
So we're just looking at the yellow numbers. We're just
Yeah,
looking at the yellow
And
numbers.
that whole department includes the prosecutor's contract.
Got it. But
And
that was in our budget to begin with. We're not really even talking that. We're talking about what goes to the
Just have
sheriff.
to be careful when you start saying, is that the total for the department? I want to make sure you understand that the department also includes other expenses.
Yeah, I know, but that's, we sorted
yeah.
that out in the budget discussions months ago.
All right, so Ed's proposed one number, Tom's got a second.
I will withdraw my motion, I guess.
Okay,
Okay.
And
Does
if
the second agree to withdraw?
second withdraw,
Yes, I agree.
but I want to understand and make sure I'm correct here, that if there is no lieutenant in it, that 95 also goes away.
It's that this is the total you're agreeing to put in your budget. You may contract for less in a variety of different ways and not spend.
correct.
It's just your maximum number in your law.
Council will see what we have negotiated or failed to negotiate, and that's when you will authorize actually expending the money that you have budgeted.
Okay.
So before we make any more motions, we've heard from the port side. Has Starboard got anything to add? We've had a couple discussions, a couple numbers thrown out. I don't want you to be marginalized.
That's Andy.
Well, I don't want to, we don't have to spend all of that money on the sheriff's contract, but I don't want to limit the amount that we have to have available for negotiations. I'm not in favor of defunding the police at this time.
Matt?
Well, I haven't heard a proposal that we're defunding the police. Could you explain that?
Yeah, if we take away money that we can negotiate with the police, I consider it defunding.
Yeah, but we're still going to fund a contract, true?
But what that contract is going to include is going to be
But we are
different.
going to fund it. We're not defunding the contract.
But arguably, the contract itself could be different too than what we say. So they could go both ways.
Yeah, okay, so I just want to make it clear because I've heard this defunding and it makes it look real negative. We're not defunding the
We're
sheriff's department.
allocating expenses because arguably the other side of the contract negotiations could be that what we get for that amount of money is a significantly less service. So
what it's gonna
you
be.
could look at either one
said
of those
it.
scenarios. So
Right, I just,
to label it right now is, I think, not, I don't think
yeah,
accurate.
we're going to pay something, so that's the point.
I can't hear you.
So I like the idea of taking our current contract amount and adding 4% to that. I'm not supportive of the lieutenant, so that's why I wouldn't want to add the 95. So that's kind of where I'm at on things.
So you're, just for clarification, on a number, that's back to Ed's previous proposal of the 992,160,
Which he withdrew.
which he withdrew.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I like that idea. We'll give a 4% increase to what we're already paying the sheriff. And that gives,
So can we, for clarification of our language, not call it the sheriff's contract? It's your law enforcement line item expense in your budget, irrespective of who the provider is or where the services come from.
That's basically
It's the amount you're willing to expend on law enforcement services.
So can I ask council, if you do,
2,000 increase.
Sorry?
if you do make a motion, would you please just say, I motion to adjust line item, and then just refer to the fund number, and then the number that it is currently to the number you'd prefer it. That'll make this easy.
Really quickly, I need to ask, is this 111, Department 111 or 112? Where are you looking at? Law enforcement,
110, 251.
110. I know the department level, not the fund. level.
251.
Oh, that's the department level is 251? Oh, they're in separate departments. Oh, geez, that's fun. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
So with that in mind, more discussion, or someone will make an a
Want me to
motion?
restate my proposal? Or,
I have it right here. You can tell me if I have it wrong, but that's what I heard. So it's,
so the bottom line, line 16, is that the one you want me to state?
No.
Or do you want?
Let's do one line at a time.
pause. The only one he's making an adjustment to. is
Correct.
Line 13.
13.
Correct.
13.
Line 13.
And Tom, if you need the fund code, it's 110-251-59003.
What he said. So I rephrase and amend my proposal that we have a value of $1,049,000 dedicated towards law enforcement services in the budget number, or the budget line item that the mayor recited.
So you just said that's a proposal. So are you just proposing to council or is that a motion?
I make that a motion, sorry.
Okay. Happy
Say it again?
Yes, that would be preferred.
Okay, my motion is, thank you.
Start.
Which one?
Page, go down to where the stars are.
Stars.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stars.
okay, yeah. My motion is that we enter in for budget item 110-251-59003 with an amount of $1,049,000. Did I get it?
You got it?
Okay, third time's a charm.
Any seconds on that?
Clarification,
Yes.
is that the same amount that is in the current budget that we've passed already?
No,
Oh,
no.
Because that's the number in this budget that I've got right now, here.
What's the date on it? On the top?
529.
It's an old
This is the
budget.
other one.
That's a much older budget. So Sandy, to answer your question, the current line item on that budget is 1.295 mil.
So what percentage of a decrease would that be in the,
It's roughly, what, the,
$250,000.
It's a decrease from the current proposed, but it's an increase from the
It's-
previous.
Yeah, it's an increase.
14% or $150,000
you
increase.
guys haven't passed the budget, you've only authorized publication.
okay,
So do you want to see it in this one?
yes. Okay,
Sandy, for your clarification, it increases the labor. Do you want to wait till you're done? It increases the labor from this current year by almost $65,000. So we're still increasing what was given in fiscal year '25.
I will second Tom's motion for discussion's sake.
Very well. All right, we have a motion and a second. Please discuss. So let's start with Matt on the starboard side.
That number's not much larger than the one that I had at 992,160. So I'd go for the 1.49, 1.049. And
Okay,
so I'm supportive of that.
okay. Sandy?
So this does decrease the amount we have to negotiate with the sheriff by
$250,000.
$250,000. Okay. I would,
246.
okay, I would like to see it stay at 1
Okay.
to 90.
Okay. Ed?
Well, as I look at this, if you look at the current contract is $954,000 for services, right? All right, I'm getting there. And to bump it up to 1.049 is a $150,000 or a 14% increase.
Wait a minute, how'd you get that?
Well, 954, or 1.049 minus 954.
I get 10%.
Well, do that. 1.049 minus
1,049,000
minus 954.
I'll do it right here for you guys.
4000 divided by 954,000, and I get that,
It's
that's
exactly 10% right here.
Exactly 10%.
10%.
Exactly. Okay, but if the total number is going to be 1.049, it's more than I was proposing, but I'm fine with that if that's the max.
And Tom, you made the motion. Do you support your own motion?
Good question.
Hey, if you've played Texas Hold'em, the big blind, you always ask them if they have the option.
I support my own motion. Are you asking me to justify why?
Nope. I'm
Okay.
just making sure that the motion was made with the intent to get it through as opposed to just a discussion.
I
So-
just want to say for the record, Lisa, that's not a 4% increase in service. That's a 10% increase.
No, this is 4%, what 4% would be.
She's titling Ed's previous.
Ah, got it,
Yeah,
got it,
This is
got it.
yours,
know.
this is what 4% would be. This
we
is the
can't.
difference. It's not perfect because it's iterative, right? So
Yeah, well, it's important because,
Yeah, no, I
you know,
wanna
we're
make-
talking like current inflation rates are,
Yep. No, this is what 4% would be. This is the difference between 1,295 minus what your proposed is. So I realize I have to explain it, but I'm just
Okay.
trying to show them to you guys so I'm not making bad math.
Has council been given enough opportunity to deliberate this motion?
One more question.
Yes.
Does this lower the levy rate?
Okay, so we're just
That's another
doing
issue.
expense right now, so it doesn't, this just lowers an expense to the budget.
But the answer to your question is yes, it would.
It could.
Yeah, if you don't have a commensurate level increase.
About how much?
I don't know. I'd have to run that through. Because you take your total amount of money that you have, your total budget, spread across your entire population. So,
But Lisa, just for my understanding, please, if we're lowering some expenses and we were using interest or anticipated interest income as part of the income for that,
your levy rate is only your expenses, not your revenues.
okay, okay.
I'm looking to finance to confirm that, but yes. I
I'm
think-
confused by what you mean by that.
Yeah, me too.
What do you mean?
Your levy rate is only your expenses?
Well, it's your expenses spread across your entire population.
I think the real question is, does this adjust whether or not you take 2% or 3%?
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
And-
Yeah, you were asking levy, not not what your amount is. So, right, she's,
Levy rate.
she's in revenues. I'm in expenses, so that's why. So
But-
to answer your question related to what your levy rate would be, no, that wouldn't change. But what we would pass along to the people would not change, because the 3% is based on your highest amount from your previous budget, but the levy rate is the total amount of expenses spread over all of your property. So if you lower the amount of money you have, the levy rate drops. I'm looking. No?
But I
maybe
still
not.
think her question is, does this adjust whether we're taking 2% or 3%? Was that your?
That's
No.
another discussion.
That's what I tried to say. That's a
No,
different
we're not,
discussion.
that's a revenue
You're
issue,
not up
not.
for
Yep,
that. Yeah,
yep.
There.
That
Yep.
was not part of this.
All right, so is that all the,
Gives context.
so is that all the discussion needed for the motion? May we get a roll call vote, please?
Council President Roder?
Yes.
Councilmember White?
No.
Councilmember DePreez? Councilmember Schaefer?
Yes.
Okay, the motion passes. Are there any other motions related to expenses that council needs to discuss or wants to discuss?
We need to make sure that the vehicle is taken out of the, right? Because 1.049 is the total, and
No, the 1.049 is for your.
Labor.
okay, I'm gonna, do we still have an indication of a vehicle that we want to purchase this year then?
It could be an option, but again, that's,
Is it on there?
yes,
Is that the
that's
95
the
on it?
95.
Before you make a proposal, can I just say for the record, I'm trying to match what the mayor and the administrator accomplished and thought that they were at a finished decision for a contract. I don't want to, I'm not trying to screw anybody. I'm not trying to stick a knife in the debate. I'm just trying to get back to what we thought we had and to be fair and to give what is proper due for,
Okay, that takes it to 114. We're good. Right, that takes it to 114. Right. Yeah, yeah.
So I'll repeat my question. Are there any other motions that council wants to discuss or make as it relates to expenditures
In the general fund.
in the general fund? Thank you, Lisa.
this may not be the place for it, but I have to say this because it speaks to why I did what I did just previously, is that we need a general fund, or we need a reserve fund policy, And I am opposed to dipping into the reserve fund for any reason until that policy is in place.
Okay. So then we should move on to revenue.
I would consider, I would like to make a motion on the 95,000 that we, that goes to zero. On that line item, I don't know, 15 would be 95,000 that we eliminate.
So Matt, for reference, that budget item is 110-253-59004.
Okay, that's included in my motion then.
So your motion is to reduce that from 95,000 to zero?
Yes.
Is there a second on that motion?
Second for discussion.
Okay, let's have discussion. Tom, you want to start?
I already said my piece on this.
So Tom wants to keep the car
I want to keep the car because it's
as an option. In other words, we don't have to spend it or buy it.
Yeah,
As an
yeah,
option.
but I mean, when you went to the county and the commissioner at that time,
Yep.
it was expected that a new patrol car was required in order to provide us with the services for which we contracted, so that's
Yes.
why I say keep it in there.
Yep. Okay, Ed, thoughts?
My understanding is that this next year's contract, the car was for a lieutenant's use, not a patrol use type of thing. Type of thing. And so again, it gets back to, if there is not a lieutenant, then I would expect that 95 to go away.
Will not be spent.
Or not,
Needs a lead.
yeah, not be spent.
Right, but that's not part of this discussion, that's part of finalizing the contract, is it not?
It is, but I think Ed just wants to make sure that he understands the
Yeah,
parameters. of
I
the
don't
budget.
want to, commingled into it if we don't get it, if there's not going to be a lieutenant to drive it,
Yep.
I think is what I'm trying to say.
Okay, I'm going to call for a recess. Matt has plans. It's his anniversary dinner.
If I want to stay married, it's my anniversary and I have a date.
So,
And
and I
so I'll
heard,
call in while we're driving in a couple of
okay,
days.
how much time do you need?
20 minutes?
20-minute break?
Oh, no. Just say 5.
Are you getting
Okay.
picked up?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to take a break that it will be approximately 5 minutes. As soon as we hear Matt dial in, we'll resume, so please be close. And please, obviously, don't discuss any of this with the public. Is that fair? Thank you, Counselor. Okay, we are resuming our special meeting.
If I can correct one thing I said, and that was the question about the levy rate, I misspoke. I was thinking about the total budget, and the levy rate that is set is based on the highest amount you levied over the last 3 years. So that's not changing with necessarily with the expenses.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that I say that, clear that.
All right, where we left off was there was a motion made to reduce the line item associated with the Kootenai County Sheriff vehicle from 95,000 to 0. Is that correct?
Who made the motion?
Yes, that was my motion.
Okay, so, and that motion was seconded by Ed, I believe, just for discussion purposes. Matt, since you made the motion, I assume you said earlier you don't support a lieutenant, and since the planned expense was for a lieutenant's vehicle, then therefore by default, you don't support the vehicle. So does that sum you up good?
Yeah, and that sums it up. And also one of the reasons is I have no idea what the job description is for that lieutenant to justify it. And also, we would need some additional funds that the city would have to spend. Where's the lieutenant going to be? Where's his office going to be? Who's going to pay for that? Who's going to pay for his desk, his computer, his cell or phone, and all the associated expenses for that lieutenant? We don't have that included in our budget.
Okay, thank you, Sandy.
I would like to leave it there
Okay.
and keep the negotiations open.
Thank you. And Ed,
It sounds as though this is specifically tied to the lieutenant. And if we don't get a lieutenant, the money will not be spent.
correct.
If for some reason, I'm just kind of maybe kind of hypothetically out here, things don't work out and we end up having to go in another direction, I think that not only should we, and will we most likely end up asking for, I believe it's 3 cars back, but if we have to go another direction, it might help to have funds for that vehicle
Okay.
in the direction that we go, type of thing. So
Okay.
I'm tending to want to leave it in for that purpose. I think we'll get an opportunity when the contract comes before us to discuss the issue of whether there's a lieutenant in it or not, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Tom?
I've stated before, I just want to match what was previously negotiated, and that was part of the budget proposal or the contract proposal, so I want to leave it in.
Okay. So is that enough discussion?
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Mayor, I just would like to add one more point. I think where my concern is that there was a promise to have 10 deputies on our ballot for covering dedicated deputies to cover Hayden. And also in the newsletter, we had 10 deputies. Well, all of a sudden we have a lieutenant. And I see that if we're going to hire a lieutenant, that takes away from boots on the ground. In other words, another deputy.
Yep.
And I don't support that. People want boots on the ground. They want that dedication. There was a promise made by the vote, which is a permanent levy on taxes, to have 10 deputies.
Yep.
And
And
so
Matt,
that's why I don't agree
yeah,
with
and
the
Matt, it may go
lieutenant.
that, it may go that way. We seem to be drifting away from the lieutenant, but we'll see how negotiations go. But as it relates to the car, is everybody ready to make a vote on the motion being made? And the motion again was to reduce the budget line item from 95 to 0.
I'm ready.
Okay, let's get a roll call. Please.
Councilmember White.
Let's see.
Hello?
I'm thinking. I'm slow, I'm thinking
Oh,
here.
I thought I lost you.
No, you didn't lose us. For point of clarification, are we walking away from the idea of a lieutenant?
I don't want to, no. And to Ed's point,
Okay, I'm voting no.
okay, you're voting no. Okay? Yeah. Sorry.
Councilmember Schaefer.
No.
Councilmember Dupree.
No,
and Council President Roder.
Yes.
Okay, motion fails. Are there any other motions that council wishes to address in our meeting tonight related to expenses? Okay, I'm hearing none. I think the next logical thing to do is to discuss revenue.
Mr. Mayor, if I could,
Please.
before we get into well, maybe I should let you guys debate. I was gonna show the council and describe for Council President Roder where we sit right now. You'll see, right now, we have a $250,000 surplus, meaning we have more revenue than expenses, so we'd have to correct for that, so we need to make that correction. And
One
that,
clarification, please. Does that include anticipated
I was getting to that, yeah. So right here under interest,
interest?
it's showing a $200,000 increase. That's partly inclusive of that. So with permission by the council, we can eliminate that if you so choose.
So we would still collect the interest, we just wouldn't budget it.
Not at this time.
Right.
Correct.
I guess it would probably be a motion to help, or do we care if you have general support for that?
Well, on the revenue, just let your council give you, yeah,
Question.
what the consensus would be.
So I admit that I was kind of distracted. So did we just move $200,000 from possibly going to a sheriff's contract back into this? What did we?
No, you removed $246,000 is what you removed, or 250,000. And so now we have to rectify
You have
the
to-
revenues
yeah,
to make
so
sure
you're
they're
moving it down
balanced.
into revenue.
To lower your revenues by the same amount.
Right, I know,
Have a
yeah,
balanced
you got to
budget.
balance that out, okay,
And one
yeah.
of the ways to do that is not project in taking 200,000 in revenue from your interest.
That's what I was basically trying to say.
Jennifer, can you give us the funded number for the 111 carryover?
I think it's.
Is it in 111?
Yeah.
Or I'm at 361, actually, estimated revenues. There it is, I found it. It's 111, 361, 46, 111. Thank you. So as Lisa has explained, we can potentially remove that 200,000 that's in that interest revenues line item from the income portion of our budget to balance the budget. That's just an idea.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we remove the 200,000 in interest income from the projected revenue.
And that's line item 111, 361,
111, is that right?
46, 111.
Can you double check on ESNA too, that we're matched?
Oh.
Because I'm still showing $50,000 surplus, and I want to make sure I didn't accidentally have an old number in when we adjusted for the commercial, or the new
Yeah,
construction.
361-46-111.
That's what I got.
Yep.
So I'll state my motion again with more clarity. I propose that we remove the 200,000 in projected income from line item 111-361-46111.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? There's a motion, and a second. Discussion on the motion? Sandy? No. No discussion? Matt, any discussion on that? We're basically just taking interest that would come in anyway and not put it in the
Right.
budget. Okay, fair enough.
I got it.
Ed, Matt, or Ed or Tom, sorry. Any other discussion? Maybe we get a roll call vote, please.
Council President Roder,
Yes.
Councilmember White,
Yes.
Councilmember DePriest.
Yep.
And Councilmember Schaefer.
Yes.
Okay, Lisa, what do we have left to balance the budget?
I just am checking, since we had some literally last minute changes by the assessor's office over new construction values, they dropped, if you remember, about $26,000. I'm wondering if partly why I'm off in my
Let's
Excel.
do valet.
What's that? Oh, part of my spreadsheet is that I need to correct for that, and I'm just double checking, putting back in the 3% and double checking our final number, which I believe it's got to be this number right here, correct? Or
2784109, what you have in the system.
750 and 760.
so.
Okay, so while Lisa's doing that, does council need to have a discussion on
Yeah, I do.
on property taxes?
regarding the 3% issue?
Well, if you want to adjust it, right now it's budgeted in, and I'm giving council the opportunity to discuss or potentially adjust, and I believe it's line item 110-311-41110.
You want to just come over?
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
May I? First, recognizing that, as you said,
Oh,
we don't spend money on superfluous
So,
things. We run a lean budget. And although we have quibbled over a few line items, it's really been down in the minutia compared to some of the expenses that the city has that we all agree are.
we're almost done. Sorry, but we had to get this.
Sorry, Matt.
I just want to acknowledge that any property,
Hello?
should I talk or not?
Go ahead.
Any property tax, regardless of size, is a claim on someone else's money, first and foremost. 1% savings is $26,258 by my math. I know that it's a bit of a debate on nickels and dimes here. And if I divide that by 2,600 taxable households, that comes out to about $10. Okay,
Per year?
per year.
Yeah, which matches what I said, 80 cents a month.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
And that's regardless of what the average household value is. So, you know, it'd be sort of moved around.
Right.
Having said that, if we are now at a place where we actually have a surplus, and I know Lisa and Jennifer are working out the nickels and the dimes, I would not be opposed to taking a 2% increase to show that we've done our work, we've adjusted our numbers, and we're giving back what we thought we needed to the citizens. And I'll just leave it at that.
So if you did that, then you would need to probably reinsert some interest or some way to balance the budget.
I'm waiting. No, it sounds like right now, until I hear from them, we have a surplus, and it's more than a 1%.
Yeah, TBD here.
So if I understood you correctly, you're saying 1% equals about $10 a household. a year.
$10 a household per year, that totals 27,000.
That's fine.
We could just say it's good, close enough.
My point is, we're basically going to say, okay, folks, we're going to save you $10 a year.
Yeah. Which is, you know,
I'm just making sure I understand that. I'm not arguing.
yeah, okay.
I'm saying $10 is 10%, we're going to save you $10 a year.
So any thoughts?
I'm waiting to see the numbers.
Okay. Matt, any thoughts in case you have to go early so that we understand this should be the last item that we're talking about? Any thoughts on adjusting the line item associated with property taxes?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
You guys are,
Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Are we muted?
Lisa, are you guys muted? Because Matt might
Hello?
be picking up your microphone.
Maybe, probably. He's probably picking up us because we got a microphone right here.
Can you hear Lisa, Matt? Do you want to ask Matt if you can hear me?
Hello?
Matt, can you hear me?
Oh,
Does that
boy.
mean-
Uh-oh.
In the pro, what do you mean?
Open up GoToMeeting.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Hello? Talking? Okay.
Turn on our microphone.
It's on.
Hello?
Oh,
Text him really quick.
I'm doing that already.
Who you are? No. I'd prefer to do it if you don't mind.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear
We
you.
can hear you.
Hello?
You can hear us.
Okay, good.
You can hear us?
No, I text him.
tell me, hang on.
Oh, we can hear us, we can hear you.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes, can you hear us, Matt?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
All right, so Matt, go ahead and make your comments on whether you are for or against adjusting the line item associated with property taxes current.
Yeah, my thoughts are this. I know that it's a small amount of money that's going to be reduced possibly by 2%. And I have taken 3% and I voted for that the last 10 years. And I think that where people are right now, and I'm thinking from the citizens of Hayden, our cost of living has gone way up. We look at food, we look at insurance, we look at telephone, electricity, and all that. And it's a cumulative effect of all those increases. And I'd like to take 1 year here and give a reprieve and not take the 3%. And so I guess what I'm saying, the 2% I don't think is aggressive enough. I'm supporting a zero tax increase for this year, and it's the first time I've ever done it. And that's my position.
Okay. Sandy, you ready to speak?
Sorry,
I would go for the 2%.
Okay, got a 0, a 2, and
I'm going to agree with Matt that I stated earlier. I sense that in the near future, we're going to have to go to the taxpayers anyway to get their approval for what is really a reset of our base tax. And at this point in time, we're talking $30, $10 savings a year from them, and $30 saving if we don't take the 3%. And what's $30? And I get the big picture of cumulatively the amount, but $30 for
I'll do whatever you want.
is going to buy you a couple coffees, maybe that type of thing. But yeah, I think that we have, and hopefully we get to this reserve discussion of what we, instead of just let it sit there, that we eventually are able to come to an agreement on how it is to be used, and that should we be put in a situation in the next year or so before we end up having to go back to the people, and we're going to have to go back to the people, I believe. That I agree with Matt. I agree with Matt on the not taking 3%.
Tom?
What do you want? Okay, really distracting.
tough.
My thoughts on what Councilman DePriest has said is this, that if we forego any tax increase at all, and then we have to suddenly realize a big budget increase somewhere down the line that is far and exceeds the 3% that we're statutorily allowed to take, then we're getting in the realm of what I understand to be foregone taxes. I mean, even a levy, a special levy like law enforcement is really, in a way you could look at it, it's foregone taxes. It's going back to the people and saying, we don't have enough money in our revenue. Therefore, we're going to significantly increase your taxes to cover this big expense that we didn't anticipate.
Well, I think we do anticipate. I anticipate.
I realize that. So while I understand and the thoughtfulness and the charity that you're and the appropriate position that we're talking about spending other people's money, I would think that taking no tax increase at all puts us in a more precarious position with regards to that. So a 1% decrease is what I consider a gesture based on the fact that we've just juggled our books here and we've come up with a surplus. And
Well, we're not. We're showing a balance that we have to cut 83,000 at 0%. You want me to run it at 2%?
At 2%. Well, no, start off with, you entered in new numbers for new construction.
Yeah, we got those corrected now.
Okay, so at a 3% increase in statutory
We had about a $16,000 surplus.
surplus, okay.
So Lisa, the 83 negative right now is
That's
if we
0.
take 0. So with 3, it's 79, so about $4,000. We're still in the red, $4,000 with.
No, what I heard is we're,
16, there's some, I need to go in and see. what that
I
number-
understood you to say we're 16,000-ish in the black if we take the,
After we adjusted for the new construction values, there was still a little bit, there's about 16,000 left over that didn't balance to zero. So I need to go figure out why that's the case, but
So we're not in the red 83 right now then.
we are in the red 83 if you take zero.
Right, so if we take 3, we'd be in the red.
We'd be in the
3 or
black
4.
by,
Oh, because you're adding,
so I'm gonna put
Can you be
this in
83
here.
in the red and then?
that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, we can reduce professional services.
amount of new construction taxes changes with the base rate.
So for council's thoughts, I know that some of the people advocating for 0 are perhaps leaning on a levy. I guess I'm asking you to think through, what if the levy doesn't pass? Now the voters didn't vote to increase their taxes, and now you don't have a way to recapture that money. Second, remember that whatever taxes you take this year, next year's taxes build on that amount. So it's compounded interest. So if we don't, if you choose to take less than 3%, not only are you taking less money this year, even if you take the full 3% next year, the total amount of money is going to be different, or it's going to be lower every single year from now until the end of time. So I just want to just remind you that how time and interest work together.
Try and make a comment here.
I'm gonna have to take a minute.
Hey, Matt, can you hear us okay?
Where do you find the menu, like for the That's a separate menu?
Steak tartare, or you want the shrimp?
We mute him? Yeah.
Trying to keep my thought here.
Lisa, when do we have to have the budget finalized by?
That's the thing I don't know the
Last
direct
week?
answer to, but,
We have to pass a budget in a meeting,
Set your public
and
hearing.
we have to have a public hearing.
public hearing is set already for the published budget. And you can hold your public hearing on it, but the appropriation ordinance is what enacts that budget.
Okay, that's what I'm
That's the
asking.
thing I need to understand. I've never been in a scenario where we're down to the wire getting it to the county, how much lead time they need to have that open.
I'm wondering if we need to conclude the meeting and finish it when we have all the council members present. That's what's going through my head.
And they can be presented with, here's the effect of what you've done with 1%, 2%,
Right.
3%.
And as much as I love meetings,
Can I,
I'm hitting a point where I don't think we're being very effective anymore.
can I put a comment into the record here before I forget it and before
Sure.
we go for whatever it is?
Sure.
With all due respect, and I understand what you're saying, when I hear the term gesture, okay, we're trying to make a gesture to show the people that we're doing something. I understand where you're coming from, and again, I mean, no disrespect with the way this is probably going to sound, but we're not, I don't feel we're here to make gestures, okay? We're here to make sound decisions and stuff like that, and I don't, when I sit there and think about, okay, I'm going to make a gesture to make it look like I'm doing something for this reason, that personally makes me a little uncomfortable. And to your, if the levy fails, if the levy fails, we're in far more difficult problems down the road than just the fact that that levy fails. You know, you look at what happens with the school district, and we can't run them. But if the people say no, and again, I would wager, who knows what, that we are going to be in front of the people. And if the people say no, that's just, that, you know, we're going to have far more difficult problems to worry about.
But isn't that kind of arguing against your proposal for not taking any increase?
I don't think that amount at that point in time, if they say no, that 78,000 is a drop in my opinion, is and the difference that it's going to compound over the time type of thing. We have our reserve, which no, we don't want to use it for that reason type of thing, but it'll last us for a certain period of time. But I think if the people start saying no, that $78,000 is probably a poor term, but someone accused me of this the other night, a drop in the bucket. in the big picture of it.
So we have a city council meeting in 1 week. How would staff and council feel about from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, concluding this special meeting, getting our budget squared away, just ahead of next city council meeting?
26?
So just to clarify, this has to be turned into the county by Tuesday.
By Tuesday, the 26th? So never mind.
Yeah, well, back up to, what's the day, the
Deal 2 form has to be submitted to the county by the 26th.
Of August?
Oh.
That's the part I didn't know
You
going.
guys doing tomorrow night?
Well, how about,
We got,
I'm just joking.
we got to take care of this tonight.
well, I think we've kind of lost Matt. Matt, have we lost you?
No, I'm there. I'm here yet.
All right, we were discussing postponing the remainder of the meeting so that staff could true up the numbers they're giving you and you could enjoy your dinner. So
Thursday night?
does council want to go Thursday night?
Yeah, I support that.
I could dial in
No, this is not working. What night are you available, Tom?
on Tuesday.
No, Tuesday we have to be
They have to
done.
have it submitted Tuesday. How long will it take the staff to get things straightened out so that we can, have all the,
Let me just clarify, they're asking for, if you have an extension no later than Tuesday, so you have a little more time.
I was going to say, that would surprise me because
Okay, so we could hypothetically go Tuesday?
Yeah.
Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Council, how you feel about that?
I'm there, but
Tuesday the 26th?
Tuesday at
I
26th,
affirm.
4 o'clock?
okay, if I could,
Yeah, can we do that?
I thought that was too
Yep.
late.
If it's
No,
not
we get-
figured out by Tuesday, you can't request an extension, so it would have to be figured out by Tuesday.
We'll figure it out.
and we can't do this tonight?
Matt's having his anniversary dinner and communications to me are compromised already.
Okay.
That's my opinion. I'm not the king here. I'm just the
I
mayor.
agree. It's
All right.
Kind of
Pretty-
Eric trying to,
And like I said, it gives staff time to adjust what we've discussed tonight. So, is there
Thank
any?
you, Mayor. I like the idea.
Yep. All right. So do we need a motion for this or what's the protocol here? Or do we just say we're
I
going to do
think
it?
you just need to give us a date and time certain, so we
4 o'clock, 26th, special city council meeting. And with that, I'll accept,
So move.
I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
someone,
We're adjourned.
Tuesday 26th.